In this video, we're going to talk about the properties of logarithms. Some nice things about our logs is that um, they have properties that parallel our rules of exponents. And so we have to practice in this section working with them. So that we can solve the equations we're presented with at the end of the section. If we have the log of a product of two things, the property says we can split that apart as the sum of the logs. Now notice that the base doesn't change, and it won't in any of the problems. If you're working in base 4, it will be base 4 across all of the steps. If you're working in base 3, same thing. But we have log base b of m plus log base b of n. Okay, so as a quick example over here, if we have log base 2 of 5 times x, we can write that as log base 2 of 5 plus log base 2 of x. If we have the log of a quotient of two things, log of the quotient is the difference of the logs, log of the top minus log of the bottom. So if we have log base 3 of x over 7, we can write that as log base 3 of x minus log base 3 of 7. Our third property is just an extension of the top one, sort of, but it's extended to all real numbers. And that's if I have m to the r power, I can write that as r times log base b of m. Meaning if I have log base 5 of x to the 8th, I can write that as 8 times log base 5 of x. 8 times log base 5 of x. And in reverse, if we're asked, we can put things back together into single terms here. So what we're going to practice in this video is writing our expressions as sums and differences. Let's say 3x squared over y to the 4th of logs. So this whole thing is inside. When we start and we want to split it apart, if you have a quotient, if you have a fraction, that's the first thing that we want to take care of. So we have log of the top minus log of the bottom. Log of the top minus log of the bottom. Okay. Then if we notice here, if we still have products involved, we want to split them up next. Excuse me. So 3 times x squared is my product, so I can say log base 2 of 3 plus log base 2 of x squared. This guy hangs along for the ride. Then the last thing I want to take care of, if they exist, are these exponents. And the properties say those exponents can come down in front and become coefficients. Since 3 is to the first power, there's nothing more I can do with that first term. And in the second piece, the 2 can come down out in front, and we have 2 times log base 2 of x. The 4 can come down in front on the next one, and we have minus 4 times log base 2 of y. When you're asked to expand a logarithm expression, you want to take it all the way out as far as you can until all the exponents inside are to the first power. All of those exponents are 1. Maybe I have log base 4 of 2 times the square root of x over y to the 9th. First, we're going to do what we did before, where we'll take care of this fraction, log of the top minus log of the bottom. Then, since there's a product right here, we'll need to split that apart next. And then last, we need to get all of the exponents down to the ground. Okay. If you want to try this on your own, go ahead and pause the video, take it as far as you can. When you turn it back on, I'm going to have the answers there. Okay. Quick little checkpoint here. Log of the top minus log of the bottom. 2 times square root of x. I'm going to split those apart. Okay, go ahead and pause, and I will put the exponents in there. You can check and see if you're right, if you'd stopped off here. When I'm looking at the square root of a number, the square root means the 1/2 power. Remember about our rational exponents, so I need to get that 1/2 down out in front. Okay, negative exponents, rational exponents, make sure you're working and practicing and remembering what those all mean. Okay. I'm just going to write log here this time. 5x over 2y to the 4th. Okay. When you see a log term, if there's not a base written down, like there's not one here, it's understood to be a 10. I'm going to talk about that in a different short video here in a few minutes. But if it's not written, then it's understood to be a 10. And so really what I'm doing is saving you the step of having to write the 444 or the 222 or whatever across. Okay, pause the video, work this one out, see what you come up with, turn it back on. Okay, first step is log of the top minus log of the bottom. And then we recognize that we have a product here and a product here. And products, when they split apart as sums. Now the thing you have to be careful of is, since we're subtracting this sum, then that negative sign gets attached to both pieces inside. So in the end, you're going to have a negative sign in front of your log 2, but also in front of your 4 log y. So here are some examples of us writing our logs as sums and differences and expanding them all the way. In the next video, we'll practice putting them back together.